Good morning and welcome to the webinar. This is Rich Harshaw from Level 10 Contractor. How's everybody doing today? It's been a while since we've done a webinar, so thanks for joining me once again. Can't actually remember when the last time it was that we did this. Just to make sure that everything is working okay, if you could do me a favor, go to the chat, tell me your name, and tell me where you're coming from today, and that will let me know that you're hearing me and that I can see where you're at. Anyone? Let's see. Questions. Okay, I've got Paul from Toronto, and that is where Alex and Getty are from, so excellent. Sound is good according to Brett. Brett, long time no talk. Good to see you. Let's see who else we've got here. Rich. I have not talked to you well, I've talked to you off and on over the years. Good to have you on here. Don Ross from Raleigh. Josh from St. Louis. Brett, we know you're from Austin. And let's see, who else do we have here? Oh, actually, it's Katie that is being named Rich. So let's see, who else do we have here? Corinna from Minneapolis and a few others. Okay, I think everybody can hear me just fine. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to cover, and as usual with me, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Just by way of brief introduction, let me tell you who I am. My name is Rich Harshaw. I'm the founder of Level 10 Contractor. I'm the author of a book called, what is it called? Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. And as you'll see, some other things also. But just to give you an idea, started a marketing consulting agency in 1994, worked with all kinds of companies, some contractors back in those days. One of my earliest clients back in 1995 was Lawn Smith Roofing, a $50 million roofing company, and got a lot of really good experience. That was the early days of my business. But since 2005, I've been doing almost everything that I do is in home remodeling and home services. Work with a lot of companies in all different segments of the industry: roofing, siding, windows, gutters, kitchens, bathrooms, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, all those kinds of things are right in my wheelhouse. So the things that we're going to be talking about today are based on real world execution, not just theory. Worked with a lot of really big companies, and here's what we do. We help contractors with strategy. We build websites and do SEO. These are the things that we do in terms of services. This is how we make money. We sell websites, we do SEO, we do digital advertising, which is typically going to be Facebook and pay-per-click, Google AdWords, and then traditional advertising, which is what we're going to talk about quite a bit today, radio and television. Those are all things that we do and help contractors do within this space. Again, author of Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. Go check it out on Amazon. If I don't say so myself, it's a pretty good book. It's about 400 pages. It's very thorough. It's not just, one of those 72-page books that somebody throws together to, kind of lend some credibility or whatever. It's an actual real book with really good stuff in it. Also, I have a podcast. Actually, I have two podcasts. The first one is called the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. Yes, it is a daily podcast. That means it is on every single day. We've been doing it for over 3 years now. We're over 1,100 episodes. Let me tell you this. If you do not know this podcast, do yourself a favor right now, grab your phone and go to your Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, whatever podcast you like, excuse me, and type in Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. With 1,100 episodes, everything that could possibly be marketing related to contractors, trust me, it's on there. And also, more recently, I do the Marketing Matters podcast. I do this in conjunction with Qualified Remodeler Magazine. I just spoke at their conference last week, the Top 500. That was a lot of fun, and have a really good relationship with Qualified Remodelers. So if you want to listen to their podcast with me, that one comes out twice a month, so it's not quite as often. Actually, the episodes that run on the Qualified Remodeler podcast actually run about a month delayed on the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. So you can actually get all of them there, but be my guest to go to the Marketing Matters podcast. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to introduce you to some sponsors of today's podcast. We've got 3 of them: Destination Motivation, OneClick Contractor, and Engage. These are probably companies that you're aware of. I do want to tell you, first of all, about OneClick Contractor. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got Guy Copperend on the line today. Let me see if I can find him on here. This is going to require glasses. Here we go. Yeah, let's see. Guy, where are you at? There you are, I think. Well, I may not be able to find Guy on here. That's okay. I was going to let him do a little presentation, tell you a little bit about OneClick Contractor, but that's okay. I'll do it myself. OneClick Contractor is a software that allows you to manage pretty much your entire process of selling and putting your contracts into your system, doing design. It's a fantastic software, better sales process, more closed jobs, higher profits. You're great at your trade, we'll help you sell it. That's their tagline, of course. Here's what they do. It connects a contractor selling process, enabling efficiency, accuracy, speed to streamline the entire sales process. Now, if you want to learn more about OneClick Contractor, I did a podcast interview with their founder. Let's see, it was September 7th this year. It was episode 1095 of the podcast. So if you want to look that up, September 7th, not that long ago, go look that up. Dale Thornberry, I believe, was on there. And look, they've got a lot of contractors on this. You can learn more about it by going there and seeing how this can streamline your process. It's going to have a built-in measuring tool for roofing, siding, and decking. It's going to have an estimation tool. It's got a presentation tool that you can use. You can include your financing. It's going to allow you to close more deals. It's got the e-sign right there, payments, everything happens all within this one software. It's fantastic. So go ahead and take a look at that OneClick Contractor. All right, let's jump into the podcast. And today I want to talk about Coca-Cola, but not just Coca-Cola. I want to talk about Coke and Pepsi. These are two of the most iconic brands in American history. You're probably familiar with them. But I also want to talk about a couple of other colas. One is called Fresh Cola. It's carbonated flavor soft drink, and another one that is just generic cola. Now I'm bringing these four colas up because there was a study that was done, kind of an experiment. It was done in Germany. It was almost 10 years ago. I believe it was 2013 or 2014, somewhere around there. And here's what they did. They brought people in and they said, hey, we want you to drink these colas. We want to measure and monitor what your reaction is to these colas. And so they hooked these electrodes up to their heads, you know, like those little things that stick to your forehead and stuff like that. And what they were doing is they were trying to measure and monitor what parts of the brain were activated when people drank the various brands of soda. And so here's what they found. When people drank Coca-Cola or Pepsi, they found that the reward center of their brain lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, when people were drinking Coke and Pepsi, they were like, wow, this is awesome. That's what their brain was saying. That wasn't just their here, fill out the survey. What'd you think? Oh, it was awesome. No, their brain reacted very positively, like it was the reward center. Excuse me. Then they had them try two different colas. One of them was a local store brand, and the other one was a brand that had not been released yet. And they told people that they wanted to get feedback on this as they were considering bringing this new cola to market. And in both cases, when people drank these two colas, the store brand and what we'll call the experimental brand, here's what happened. The reward center in their brain did not light up. What did light up was what's called the values judgment part of their brain. In other words, people were trying to figure out, do I like this? How do I feel about this? Did I like it? Trying to figure. Here's the punchline to the story. In the experiment, what they actually did is they took all four colas, they mixed them so that there was one sort of amalgamation of cola that was four different kinds poured into one cup, and they gave them this same mixed up cola all four times. So in reality, they were not drinking four different colas. They were drinking four colas in one, four different times. And here's the interesting part, and this is the takeaway, and this is the setting the stage for what we're going to talk about today when it comes to branding. When it comes to branding, when people were drinking a brand that they perceived to be something that they knew, it lit up the reward center. And when it was a brand that they perceived that they didn't know, it was a value judgment, even though it was the exact same cola every single time. Now, the ramifications of this are pretty tremendous. It's like, okay, what do we take away from this in terms of your company and your brand? Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through this. And what we want to do is create a brand where people activate their reward center when they do business with you, instead of looking at their value judgments part of their brain and thinking, man, I don't know if I want to do business with these people or not. So let's talk about hunting and farming. And here's a question for you. Does it really matter where your leads come from? I think it does. In fact, I think it matters a lot. Let me tell you about two different companies. One is in Florida, that about a $19 million company. And these guys were buying over 2,000 aggregated leads a month. Angie's List, Modernize, Home Advisor, I guess is Angie's List now. Wherever you can buy leads, they had multiple different aggregators that they were getting these leads from, Better Business Bureau, whatever. And they were really good. Their speed to lead was outstanding, and these guys were doing really well with these. Obviously, $19 million in sales. They also attended just about any kind of event that they could get to. If there was a congregation of people, they were going to be there with the booth. Home shows, of course, but also the Strawberry Festival, and who knows what kinds of things that they were showing up at. And then they were also doing very aggressive canvassing. So they were getting in front of people with their canvassing. Another company was in Kansas City. They're a little bit smaller, but still, right in that same range, about $16 million. This company has spent $1 million a year on TV and radio since 2010. And before 2010, they started in 2008, and they were spending a smaller amount in 2008 as they were new. In 2009, they got it up to $1 million in 2010, and they've leveled it off, and it stayed about the same that entire time since 2010. And I've actually been managing this by renegotiated it in 2015 when I took these guys on as a client, was able to save them about 30%. So we actually got more bang for the buck. We got more TV and radio spots for the same money that they were spending, but that's kind of besides the point. Here's the point. The overwhelming majority of their marketing is radio and TV. They do a couple of events. They go to the major home shows. They're going to one next week. So we'll pull off the TV and radio for a week while they go there. And they do 2 mailed publications. I think it's Home Mag and RSVP, maybe Valpak, maybe it's 3. I think it was 3, then 2, and then they've come back to 3. Anyway, these are 2 very different approaches. And the idea here on this I'm so used to doing podcasts, I was gonna say podcast, this webinar today is not to say that company 1 is wrong and company 2 is right. It's to look at the advantages to doing it both ways. Now, first of all, I'm gonna tell you this. When the pandemic hit, company 1 went into an absolute tailspin because their events, which was a huge percentage of their leads, I think it was something like 30-40% of all the leads that they got every year were from events. And then also canvassing was completely wiped out. They couldn't do it. Aggregated leads, obviously with the pandemic, that picked up and that was good. So look, I'm not saying that these companies have some fundamental difference in being successful, but they do have a fundamental difference in building their brand. And here's the question, does it matter? Okay, so let's talk about the hierarchy of leads. And there's 3 different levels. I don't know, we could probably break it up into more than 3 levels, but these are the best leads. The very best leads you could get, probably obviously to you, are repeat customers and referrals. Everybody knows that. Why? Because they already know you, or they've got it on good word from their friend that your company is awesome, hence they became a referral. Everybody would like those. But here's also a really good lead. It's a lead that comes from an event. Let's just call it a home show that is branded. Now, when I say a branded event lead, here's what I mean. I mean that's somebody that knows who you are, that has a familiarity with your company through your marketing over the years, and comes to that show specifically to talk to you because they're ready to move on a project. Everybody knows what this is like. Well, maybe not everybody. Hopefully you know what this is like. You're at the show and the guy comes up to you, he's like, hey man, I've been seeing you on TV for years. I can't wait to do this. Let's go ahead and come over. Let's get this going. Also, other good leads, branded advertising leads. This is the same thing except for not in person. This is when somebody calls you or fills out a form on your website. They have a definitive familiarity with your company because of the exposure to your marketing messages regarding your brand over the years, and they want to do business with you. The timing is now right, so you get that call. These are the best kinds of leads. Below that, 1 tier below, we've got organic online search leads. Now, these are people, I'm not talking about people that went and searched for your company name. That's called a branded search. So that's also obviously good. I'm talking about people that went online and said, hey, I need a roofer. And then Google said, well, here's a roofer. Here's, all of these roofers, call one of these. Now that's good because if you execute properly on your website, which I'm going to show you how to do as we go through this webinar, those leads can be very, very convertible. Okay, they can be high quality. Also, unbranded event leads. These are people that showed up at the event, not specifically looking to talk to you, but you happen to be there. These are really good leads because you have a chance to actually talk to them in person. That's always a plus. Pay per click also is good because these people are proactively searching for what you sell. All of the ones in green on your screen right now, these are the kinds of leads where people are looking to buy what you sell, not necessarily from you, but in general. So they're going to be good leads. Then we've got aggregated leads, also people looking to buy what you sell. However, everybody knows aggregated leads have their pros and their cons. If you're good at executing against aggregated leads, more power to you. The $19 million company that I just told you about, they've got it down. I would say 80% of the companies that I do business with, that we work with, they're not any good at aggregated leads. They don't have the systems and personnel in place to really maximize those, but they can be worthwhile. And then we get down here to these advertising unbranded leads and canvassing leads. Now, let me be super clear. I'm not saying that these leads are terrible and that you shouldn't get these leads. I'm saying that there's a hierarchy. Like if all of your leads could come from repeat customers and referrals, that would be awesome, or from branded events or from branded advertising. These other kinds of leads are good, but they're not as powerful because you have a selling job still to do because they don't know who you are. Here's what I say. It's easier to sell to friends than it is to sell to strangers. So what we're talking about today is how do we develop friends through our advertising and marketing, AKA branding. Okay, we want to create as many of the higher quality leads as possible. Why do most contractors stick to hunting? Well, because, hey, I can pay money, I can get leads, it's easy, they're cheap. Everybody, this is something that we're going to talk about today. Everybody wants everything to be tracked down to the penny. Like, hey, we spent X dollars with Modernize, we got X number of leads, we closed X percentage of the deals for X number of dollars, so we know exactly what our ROI is. When you start getting into farming, when you start getting into media advertising, those numbers become really, really fuzzy, because what if somebody sees your TV ad 732 times over the course of 5 years, and then they decide to get a roof or a bathroom and they call you and you ask them, how did you find out about us? And they say, I don't know, I just knew you were there. Or maybe they go online and they Google your company name and they appear in your marketing metrics as an internet lead, when in reality, they were the beneficiary of thousands and thousands of dollars of advertising. Man, I'm choking over here. Sorry about that. A lot of contractors think farming is too expensive, and I hear this all the time. Hey, we tried radio, we tried TV, it didn't work. You know, it just doesn't work. I hear that all the time. So, Diane, here's the result. You spend money on marketing, you get sales, but here's the key. Nobody really knows who you are, including, okay, and let me break this down to two different things. Number one, they don't know who you are. Like if you go out to the greater population of the city that you live in and you say, do you know this company? The vast majority of the people don't know you because they don't hear you on the radio. They haven't seen you on TV. They don't see you necessarily on Facebook. They do find you when they go to search or when they buy a lead from Modernize, but you know, at the end of the day, you're not a very well-known entity. That makes it harder to keep your business going. It makes it harder to sell your business because you're dependent on an ever increasing, ongoing glob of new people coming to you. Look, it's doable, but it's suboptimal. Okay, so that's number one. Is people in the community at large don't know you, so when they need what you sell, they don't think of you. And then number two, here's also a huge issue. When you show up in their home and you're ready to sell them something in their home because they've invited you because they became a lead through canvassing or a show or whatever the less valuable hierarchy of leads is, they don't know who you are. You're in their home as a stranger, and now they're having to figure out, remember, look at the can on the screen right now. It's a value judgment. Do I like these guys or do I not? That's less than optimal. Okay, so here's why you might want to lean into farming. I put that farm right over that Coke can. Steady stream of qualified leads, lower overall marketing costs. It does take time. It's farming. You have to build it up. You can charge higher prices. Here's why you can charge higher prices, because when people know who you are and how you're different and why you're better and what they can expect when they do business with you, then they understand that your prices are higher because you've told your story, and they're willing to pay them because they trust you. It all comes down to trust. Always comes down to trust. It's easier to weather downturns. This is, I was at this top 500 meeting last week, and like 75% of the people talking were talking about, hey, we're about to have a downturn, which probably is true. I don't, I mean, look, I can't predict the future. I can see kind of some economic headwinds that are coming, but if we do indeed have a downturn, it's going to be a lot easier for you if you have a brand in the marketplace to weather that. And look, the other 75% of the talk last week was about a downturn coming. The other 25% was about how to sell your business. If you have any idea at all of selling your business to private equity or another buyer, then having a brand is massive. I know this because I work with one company in particular on the West Coast that has, I worked with them starting in 2015 and 2017, excuse me, they started buying up other companies, and now they've got, I think, 16 or 17 brands. And I know what they're looking for when they're buying companies up, and they're looking for brands. That's what they're looking for, because they can just keep that party going, okay? So the result is, and this is key, and I want you to write it down, people seek you out when they're ready. They seek you out. I mean, think what happens when somebody goes to Google. Here's what that means. Now, if they go to Google and they're just looking for your phone number because they know they want to do business with you, that's different. What I'm talking about is when people go to Google and they say, hey, Google, I need a roofer. Hey, Google, I need a bathroom company. Hey, Google, I need an air conditioning company. I don't know who to call, tell me. That means that your marketing has failed when people don't know who to call. That's not what we want, okay? So let's talk about creating a brand, 2 steps. First step, creating a brand story. We're going to spend a little bit of time there, actually quite a bit of time there. And then we're going to go spend a little bit of time on consistently reaching lots of people at a reasonable cost. So we got to create a story, and then we got to get that story out there. Okay, that's what we're going to do in 2 steps. Let's talk about creating a brand story. Here's what you need to know. Most marketing is full of platitudes and prices. What's a platitude? It's words and phrases that are drearily commonplace and predictable, that lack power to evoke interest through overuse and repetition, but are nevertheless stated as though they were original or significant. Things like best products, best services, family owned. We've been in business since 1431 BC, stuff like that. This is what is in most advertising. Here's how I know this. I look at a lot of advertising. My career is 28 years old as of next week, and I've made an entire career changing companies' platitudes into something that I call identity, which is what I'm going to talk about here in just a second. Here's what we don't want to do. We don't want to just go out there and say a bunch of platitudes. Also, I see this frequently, prices and offers, buy one, get one, 40% off your second window, 0% financing. Here's the problem with this. Look, there's a time and a place for prices and offers in your advertising. I'm not suggesting that if you put prices or offers in your advertising at any time in any circumstance that that's wrong. Clearly, that is not the case. But if you're only putting prices and offers and maybe platitudes into your advertising, then what you're doing is you're training the audience to buy from you because you're cheaper. I mean, think about it. Call right now, buy one, get one free. Call right now because we'll give you 30% off. It's our, Thanksgiving sale. It's 25% off, Black Friday, all of these kinds of offers. While legitimate, if it's the only thing that your audience ever hears from you, then you are absolutely positively training them that the reason that they should buy from you is because you're cheap. And then you show up, you're at their house, you're not cheap, and now you've got a problem on your hands. You got a problem. Here's what I would rather do. I would rather train people to understand who I am, how I'm different, why I'm better, what they can expect when they do business with me, advertising, the stories of my website, so that when I show up in their home, they already have a pretty good idea. It's called price conditioning. It's called branding. That's what we want to accomplish. So if you want to take a screenshot or get your camera phone out and take a picture, this is a great slide for you. Definition of identity: words, phrases, and images articulated with power, precision, and passion that instantly and definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect when doing business with you. And I know that Brett Abbott's out there listening to me in Austin right now, and he's laughing his head off because I've been knowing Brett since the early 2000s, and he's like, wow, you're still talking about the exact same thing. And yes, I'm still talking about the exact same thing, going all the way back to the beginning of my career in 1994. This is so critical. If you can tell your story and help people understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what they can expect when they do business with you, it becomes so much easier to close deals, to get leads. Everything opens up for you, okay? So let's talk about how to do this. First thing you got to do is find and then tell your story. Look, there's things that you do well in your business. I don't know what they are, but you do. There's reasons that your customers love you. The key is to identify those things and then articulate them in a way that they really come alive. And I'm going to show you a bunch of examples of this on this webinar today. So stay tuned. It's really good stuff here. You have to help the prospect visualize your advantages. You have to find your story, and then you have to tell your story. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to encourage you to take a screenshot or to take a picture with your phone on the camera on your phone on this next slide. So what I want to show you here is called the 5 pillars of identity. This is relevant to contractors. So here's what we want to do. I'm just going to put all 5 of these on the screen here, okay? So these are the 5 pillars of identity. They're categories of things that you might excel at. You see on the left, you've got your products, and then within that pillar, we've got individual identity points, things like stronger or more durable products, things like more energy efficient products, and things like better looking, more colors, more secure. You can read the list. I don't have to go through it for you. And then the second pillar is workmanship. This is how you do at actually executing against your products. You don't cut corners. You've got an attention to detail. You do things right the first time. You slow down for quality. You use quality materials, experience. Again, you can read the list. Now, in my experience, the overwhelming majority of advertising has platitudes and pricing and offers, like I just talked about. And if anybody does talk about something besides those things, they talk about products. You see this with window companies. We've got the most efficient window in the world. And that's good. But when you say it like that, it still becomes a platitude. So what I'm going to show you what to do is I'm going to show you how to take these individual points and I'm going to show you how to make them into stories that bring them alive and help people understand actually really who you are. Okay, so the third one in the middle here is bedside manner. This is how you treat people. Being punctual, communicating well, easy, accurate quotes, no sales pressure, no pricing games, cleaning up after yourself, your workers' appearance, all those kinds of things. Again, you can read the list. And then we've got this thing over here called core values: integrity, respect, compassion, teamwork, enthusiasm, accountability, trustworthiness, friendly, reliable. It sounds like the Boy Scout motto practically here. These are hopefully the bedrock fundamental core values of your company. And here's the question. I'm going to ask you this question as it relates to core values, but you can apply this question to any of these elements that are anywhere on this screen right now. Here's the question. If your company has integrity, and this is a core value, how does that manifest itself in real life in your company? In other words, what does that look like when you execute against integrity? See, if you just go to the marketplace and you say, hey, our company has integrity, you can trust us. Okay, I'll use that word trust. Trustworthy company. We have integrity. It's a platitude. What we've got to do is we've got to take this word integrity and we've got to find a way to bring it alive by telling stories, by giving examples. Think about it this way. If you were on the witness stand, okay, trial, okay, you're on the witness stand and you said to the jury, our company has integrity, then hopefully the attorney would say, well, can you prove that? Can you give us an example of what that looks like in your business? You can't get away with just the simple platitudes. Now, also look here, number 5 pillar, culture and reputation. This is everything that doesn't really conveniently fit into any of the other 4 pillars: company culture, community outreach. This could be charity work you do, your reputation, financing, accolades, awards, et cetera, et cetera. So take a look at that. And then here's what I want you to do. And I want you to do this after the podcast. Don't do it right now because we're on a it's not a podcast, it's a webinar. Sorry. We're on this webinar, so you don't have time to do this right now because you need to pay attention to what I'm going to say. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to identify 3 points from each of the 5 pillars, and then I want you to find stories, examples, and comparisons. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like in real life in just a minute, okay? So you'll get some good examples from me of how do you actually do this. But if you haven't already, take a screenshot or a picture of this slide, And then after the fact, get together with your team and say, hey team, here's these roughly 60 different points. Let's choose 15, 3 from each. Now, a lot of times people look at these things and they say, well, geez, all of these look great. I understand that. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to identify 3 from each pillar that really most closely represent the DNA of your company. Okay, you got it? Hopefully you've got this down. We're going to move on, but this is super critical. You can't create an identity if you don't go through this process. You have to. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to take the identity of your company and it becomes the hub of all of your marketing activities, whether it be your website, print ads, online ads, TV, radio, home show. Even your SEO is based on your identity to a large extent. But if you don't have this identity, if you haven't taken the time to go through this exercise and figure out what is our identity, what are the stories that go along with these kinds of things, then you're almost certainly going to be communicating platitudes, prices, offers. It's not going to be powerful. And even if you are getting your message out there, which is the second part of the webinar that we're going to get to in a minute, even if you're doing that, people aren't really going to understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better. They're just going to know that you exist. Now, look, people knowing that you exist, that's a good step. Nothing wrong with that. But what if people knew not only that you existed, but they knew who you were, how you were different, why you were better, and what they could expect when they do business with you? That's what we're going after here today. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about 2 of our sponsors, Engage and Destination Motivation. Engage is a really, really killer software tool. Now, hang on, guys. I'm about to show you some really awesome radio and TV examples of how this identity works. So stick with me. I'm going to go through this real quick. With Engage, it's here's what happens. They take your boring presentations that you're doing right now, either PowerPoint or paper brochures, and they turn it into an interactive, awesome digital sales presentation. It's almost like a website where it's got different kinds of sections that you can touch and you can open, and you can take a prospect through the presentation at the pace and at the right information level that is right for a given prospect. So instead of a linear presentation like we're doing here today on a webinar, which is appropriate for a webinar, your sales presentation shouldn't always be linear. It's like, hey, what is the important thing that this person wants to talk about? Instead of flipping back and forth in your book or trying to figure out where in the heck in your PowerPoint that is, you just touch the right part there on your presentation, and it's amazing. This is a really, really cool software. So here's what I want you to do. Go to engage with an i.io. Honestly, I don't know what .io is. It's not .com though, but it's engage.io. And check this out and see how you can transform your business. These guys have a ton of, like anybody that's anybody in the remodeling world uses this software. It's really, really cool. Also, I want to tell you about Destination Motivation. This is a really cool little product. What these guys do is they have vacation vouchers that you can give out to your prospects as an incentive to get them to buy from you. So we're talking about branding today, and differentiation is important. So standing out from other people's products, other people that you may be competing against for sales in the home. Well, one of the things that you can do is partner with Destination Motivation. They have a proven system that uses travel vouchers as sales incentives. And so here's what happens. People have an opportunity to get this vacation when they buy from you, and they've seen closing ratios go up by as much as 35%. Now, I did a podcast with these guys on July 15th this year, number 1041. I suggest that you look that up and listen to it, because I put these guys through the ringer. I really grilled them, because I've seen these kinds of promotions in the past, and there's always a bunch of like exclusions and fine print that make it really not that good of a deal. But with these guys, it's the real deal. It's going to virtually eliminate your cancellations. It's going to do a really good job of differentiating yourself. You can also use these in advertising to get people to engage with you in the first place. So there you've got it, Destination Motivation. You can find out more about these guys by listening to the podcast that I did, number 1041 on July 15th, or go to increaseoursales.com. increaseoursales.com to learn more about Destination Motivation. Now, what I want to do is I want to do a quick poll, and then we'll get to the examples of how to integrate identity and tell stories into your actual advertising. I'm going to give you the examples. But first, I'm going to launch the poll, and I've got to figure out how to launch the poll. There we go. Which sponsors would you like to learn more about? The poll is now open. If you'd like to learn about Destination Motivation or OneClick Contractor or Engage, please fill that out right now. And we will send that information along to those various companies, and they will surely be reaching out to you and saying, hey, we'd like to give you a demo. Let me show you how this works. So let me give it just a few more seconds on the poll. Come on, some of you are not voting. Come on, come on. There we go. I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, come on, let's get this up. One more, I need one more person to vote. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All righty, closing the poll. All right, thank you for participating in that. We really appreciate it. Without the sponsors, we have no webinar today. So thank you, Destination Motivation, OneClick Contractor, and Engage. And thank you, participants, for engaging with those folks. So here's what I want to do next. I want to go show you some radio ads. This is a company called Trustmark Roofing. They're in New Mexico, and they're a new client of ours that we put on radio starting, I think, up around August, September, October. Yep, it was about August. So I want to play for you a couple of these, and here's what I want you to notice as I'm playing these commercials for you. I want you to notice the story that is being told. So here's what we've done. We've taken remember the 5 pillars of identity? We just went over it just a couple of minutes ago. So for this particular company, Trustmark Roofing, we went to the pillar called culture and reputation, and we've got origin stories here. So take a listen and listen to this story.
Trustmark Roofing here, and I can tell you it's not always easy being a female in a male-dominated business like roofing. I remember one time I was at a meeting to bid on the roof for a local college, and it was me and 13 men. Well, I won that bid, and I'd like to win your business too. My dad was a contractor, and I've been around building and roofing my whole life. I'm licensed.
Well, that stopped in the middle. Here's what I need you to do real quick, if you don't mind. If you can do the chat and just let me know if you could hear that commercial okay. Just give me a quick heads up if you could hear that commercial okay. Okay, let's see here. Yes, looks like it's okay. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut that off. I'm going to play it one more time.
You in the first place. But what really sets Trustmark apart is an obsessive attention to detail that ensures that everything goes smoothly the first time. I promise we will treat you right with respect, and we will make you happy. So yeah, it might be a bit odd for a woman to own a roofing company, but give us a try. Let us give you an estimate for your roof.
Okay, so we've got Jennifer at Trustmark Roofing talking about how she's the only woman roofing company, at least in that market, how she had to compete against 13 other men to get the deal. Let's go to the second ad here. This is about relationships. It comes from Core Values, Relationships. And let's see how this one sounds.
If you need a new roof, it's almost certain that there's going to be an insurance company involved, and that means you're going to need an advocate to help you navigate the process. Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I want you to know that you can trust Trustmark to be your advocate. Unlike some roofing companies that simply don't know how to deal with the complexities of insurance claims, or other roofers who simply try to bully the insurance companies to get what they want, we take a totally different approach. We actually know the folks at all of our local insurance companies. We have spent years building relationships of trust with them, so they treat our customers with integrity, respect, and fairness. We never have to beat them up to get what is fair for our clients. And inspiration and fairly you deserve. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF.
Okay, so that was spot number 2, which was about relationships, talking about, of course, the relationship that they have with the insurance adjusters. The third spot I want to play for you is from the core value pillar also, and this one is the identity point trust. Now, here's what I want you to notice. We're going to tell a story about a time when this company, Trustmark, did something that engendered trust with their customer and hopefully with you, the audience. Let's take a listen.
Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I know you've heard me say that you can trust Trustmark, but I want you to know what that looks like in real life. A few years ago, we installed a beautiful new roof for an older woman who was recently widowed. She was an artist and colors were really important to her. So when she said she didn't like the color of a brand new roof, we took that seriously. She had picked the color and signed off on it, but I just kept thinking, if she's going to walk into her house every day and be disappointed, then we're just going to redo it. So we did. We ripped that beautiful new roof off and replaced it with a slightly different color, and she was thrilled. Yes, it costs us quite a bit of money to make her happy, but I want you to know you can trust Trustmark to make it exactly right every time. If you have any roofing needs, call.
Okay, and so there you have the story. And let's do one more, which is going to be communication comes from the pillar, bedside manner. This is example 404 for Trustmark Roofing.
Do you know what the hardest part of dealing with a roofer is? Just trying to get them on the phone. Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I want you to know that you can always trust Trustmark Roofing to answer our phone. Need a free roof inspection? Just call us at 575-755-ROOF, and we'll answer with a live person, a real human being. Have a roofing project already going with us and need to discuss it? Just call 575-755-ROOF, and we will answer the phone. No answering machine, no voicemails, and no weird robot automated attendant. That's because at Trustmark Roofing, we're all about relationships and treating people right. That's true for customers and vendors and insurance companies and employees. Anyone and everyone who comes in contact with our company. So if you have any roofing needs at all, trust.
Okay, so I think you get the idea here. The idea is we take the identity point, which was culture and reputation was the pillar, origin stories was the identity point, and then we say, okay, well, what does that story look like? And we tell the story about when she bid against 13 male roofers. Core value was the pillar. Relationships, we talk about, okay, if we're going to put you on the stand in a court of law, you need to discuss and help us understand what that looks like in your situation in real life. Okay, here's how we treat our insurance partners. And then the same thing for trust. We told the story about the woman whose roof was the wrong color, how we fixed it, bedside manner, communication. We talked about how we answer the phone. And we're very explicit about it in terms of giving people not just we answer the phone, but the different situations, okay? So here's what happens. We start running these radio ads for Trustmark Roofing and get an email from Jennifer a little bit earlier this month. Good morning. As of now, about 20% of our inbound leads come from people hearing my radio ads. We hear much feedback about the ads and how people like them, especially the one about being the only woman in a room of men and winning the bid. People love that one. Here's why. Because humans are inherently wired to respond to stories. It's in our dadgum DNA. It's in our evolution. I don't know how it got there. I just know that it's there. People respond to stories. So the principle that I'm trying to teach you here today is find the story, tell it, and then people will respond. Okay, let's go to another example here. This is for Jericho Home Improvements. This is my client that I was telling you about earlier in Kansas City. They do kitchen and bathrooms. The identity pillar is workmanship, and the identity point that I want you to hear this ad for is quality of materials. So I want you to think about this. If you're a company that uses quality materials in your remodeling projects, how do you say that in an ad so that it gets people's attention and it really sticks to their consciousness? Listen to this ad. I think you're going to like it.
One of the most common questions we get about kitchen and bathroom remodeling is, how much does it cost? But the question you should be asking is, how much does it weigh? How much does it weigh? You can tell a lot about the quality of a kitchen or bathroom by how much the faucet weighs. At Jericho, we only use high quality Moen faucets. They weigh about 10 pounds each. They're solid metal. They look fantastic and they'll last forever. Other remodelers save money by using off-brand plastic faucets that only weigh about 1.5 pounds. 10 pounds versus 1.5 pounds. If you want a remodeling job that weighs right, call Jericho. Find us online at jerichohome.com. One of the most
Okay. I love this ad, not only because it's an awesome ad, but because it makes this concept that I'm trying to teach you on the webinar today, it makes it so crystal clear. It punches you in the face and you say to yourself, hopefully right now as you're listening to this, I can't deny it. This makes sense. A 10-pound faucet versus a 1.5-pound faucet. What a great story to tell. Let's go to a couple more commercials here. One on no cutting corners.
One of the most Common questions. 90% of remodelers cut corners by using cheap products. They figure you'll never even know. For example, most remodelers use a cheap sand-based grout when installing tile. It only costs $10 a gallon, but it's not waterproof, so water seeps through. And it's not flexible, so it cracks, which lets even more water seep through. I'm not kidding. They use grout that's not waterproof in bathrooms. Hello? Mold and mildew, anyone? And it's not just grout. They cut corners on fixtures, cabinets, granite, stain, even nails. Call Jericho instead. We only use the best materials. We use a flexible acrylic grout. It costs more, but it's completely waterproof. It won't crack, so water can't seep behind your walls and under your floors. At Jericho, we never cut corners. Not in a million years.
That's me just kind of being speechless. These ads are incredibly good and they work. They work. The reason they work is because they resonate with real people, because they're helping people understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better. Think about this ad that we just listened to about not cutting corners and using sand-based grout versus using acrylic grout. Do you think anybody knows that? Does anybody at all know the difference between sand-based grout and acrylic grout out of homeowners that might want a new kitchen or bathroom? And the answer is, of course not. How would they possibly know that? And the answer is, we're going to tell them, and we're going to do it in a way that's not, look, here's what we're not doing. We're not saying, hey, XYZ remodeling sucks because they use this crappy grout. It's not what we're saying. We're just helping people understand what is really, truly going on out there, how to get it done right. Let's listen to one more. Well, I'm going to go to the community outreach one. We're going to skip this one.
When you use Jericho to remodel your kitchen or bathroom, you're doing more than just improving your home. You're also improving lives. It's true. We donate a large part of our profits to charity, including the Global Orphan Project, based in Kansas City. Their website is goproject.org. Those funds pay for food, schooling, and other necessities in Haitian orphanages. One of the most important things these sacred funds pay for is mamas. Mamas are women who live in the orphanages full time and nurture, feed, and care for these kids. They're not the kids' mothers, but their love for the children is so great that they've earned the title of mama. Each mama is responsible for 10 orphans, and for 2015, Jericho is actively supporting 39 mamas in Haiti. That's 390 orphans that now have a mama to love and care for. I'm John Bartram, and my company is Jericho Home Improvements. For kitchen and bathroom remodeling or kitchen refinishing, please visit jerichohome.com.
Okay, getting the idea of how this works? Pretty amazing stuff. Let's see what it looks like when it comes to television. So on your screen right now, I'd like to introduce you to John Bartram, who you just heard on some radio commercials. Here's what it looks like when you execute it on television.
Did you know most kitchen and bathroom remodelers use subcontractors? They're usually inexperienced, unreliable, and rarely background checked. They show up if they're available and then speed through the job so they can hurry on to the next one. At Jericho, we only use background check employees. They're carefully chosen, master craftsmen, show up on time, and slow down to do the job right. The end result is a quality remodel done right the first time. Call today and receive 10% off your remodeling project.
Again,
Have you ever heard of someone remodeling their kitchen or bathroom 2 times in 1 year? We frequently get hired to fix remodeling jobs that other companies have messed up. Or worse, jobs where the customer gave a huge deposit and the contractor disappeared. Call Jericho. We're the biggest and most trusted kitchen and bathroom remodeler in Kansas City. We have the expertise and track record to do the job right the first time. That's the Jericho way. Call today and receive 10% off your remodeling project.
okay, so notice we put the 10% offer at the end. We tag it with that, so it's not like we have no offer. But here's what we want people to know. We want people to know who they are, how they're different, why they're better, and what people can expect when they do business with this company. Let me show you an origin story ad for this company. Check this one out. This one has proven to be extraordinarily successful. Watch this.
People ask me all the time, why the name Jericho? Jericho is a story of blind faith. The Israelites roamed the wilderness for 40 years. They crossed the Jordan River into Jericho and into Promise. We started Jericho in the worst recession in 50 years, but we felt there was a higher purpose. More than just kitchens and baths, Jericho is about taking care of others, customers, employees, and most importantly, orphans and abandoned children. It's about blind faith to fulfill a purpose, and that's why we named our company Jericho. Care to join us?
And then one last one. This one's a little bit different. See what you think. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've shown you some examples on radio for a roofing company, taking the identity, finding stories. I did the same thing for a kitchen and bath company, Jericho, showed you some radio commercials, then some TV ads. Now I want to show you what it looks like when you go and implement this into the website, okay? Because this is really, really critical. The website is so important because every prospect will see your website, okay? Now, think about this. If you've got hunting prospects, which means people that are coming from aggregated leads or from cold advertising, from pay-per-click, from Google organic search, your website, it's your only chance to tell your story. They don't know your story because they haven't seen all these ads because you don't have them, okay? So when you are looking at your hunting, your website becomes extra, ultra critical to tell your story so that people say to themselves, okay, I know who this company is. I know what they're all about. I know how they're different and better. And I have a good feel for what I can expect when I do business with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through some screenshots. I could go live, but I think the screenshots is going to allow this to be a little bit more focused. So this is, you'll see on the homepage, our focus is on quality from design and materials to master craftsman. We do it right. If you go to the why choose us, you can choose, you know, any of these sections: our people, our workmanship, our professionalism, our materials, okay? Also under reputation, they've got sections for case studies, customer online reviews, guild quality, Better Business Bureau, awards and accolades. Some of these things are going to pop out to you as being lining up with the pillars of identity. Communication is our calling card. Over here on About Us, you've got service areas, price quotes, charitable activities, their blog, and then employee login. So here's what I want to show you. This is how we communicate with power, precision, and passion against the concept of identity. So we only use the highest quality materials, master craftsmen, no subcontractors, means projects finish on time, project managers to keep you informed. If you click on that, you'll see something like this. Most companies think that close enough is good enough. The Jericho way is to always do it the right way. And then we talk about our people, our workmanship, our professionalism. You go to this website and you start digging through it, and here's what you see. It just oozes with identity. Everything you click on is telling people, here's who we are, here's how we're different, here's where we're better. And it communicates it with power, precision, and passion. Here's a page on quality materials. The best materials are absolutely essential if you want stunning results. That's why we never use inferior materials. We talk about their standards. Okay, this is the core pages of the website. We've got case studies on this website. Go behind the scenes, see what it's like to work with us, real stories. And if you click on those, then you'll see actual case studies. When we talk about the Better Business Bureau, instead of just putting a link, we help people understand, here's what the Better Business Bureau is. Here's how they rank companies. Our rating is A+, and then you can click on the link. I'm going through this very quickly, but I would encourage you to just go take a look around this website. You can see it for yourself. This is a core value page that we put on there. We cracked the code and built the most successful independent kitchen and bathroom modeling company in the entire country. Here's how I use my experience to create an efficient, debt-free company with thousands and thousands of thrilled customers telling their story, okay? When you choose Jericho, you're also choosing to make a difference. These are various pages, of course, on the website. Supporting these awesome charities has become a part of who we are. Talks about the Global Orphan Project. If you scroll down, you see something about the water projects that they have, digging wells. What do you call these? Galleries, okay? So here's what I want to do. I want to leave you with a little, we still have 5 minutes to go because I have a section that I want to go through showing you how to do media advertising to get your message out there. Everything that we've been talking about up till now is how to create and craft a message. If you'd like for us to do an identity and website audit so we can see if it's true that you're executing against these concepts, just go to level10audit.com, or you can use your phone to open that QR code fill out the form, and we'd be happy to get together with you and take a look at how you're currently doing. Again, level10audit.com. What I want to do before we end up the webinar today is I want to show you how to execute. It just kind of give you a taste for TV and radio advertising, okay? Building your farm. And you can see here the illustration. I love it. The guy's throwing coins and he's growing cash. That's kind of the idea. Farming. You're going to plant some capital and you're going to reap some big rewards. So here's what we've got to do. Consistently reach lots of people at a reasonable cost. So where do you start? Well, first thing you're going to probably want to do is raise your prices. This is kind of a hot topic right now because of the pandemic and inflation and all that. Everybody's scrambling to raise their prices anyway. But just make sure that your prices are sufficiently high that you have enough margin that you can afford to do marketing and advertising the right way. Okay. I'll just let that concept sit by itself. I'd love to go into more detail, but frankly, we don't have time. You need to get good enough at hunting that you can put some capital aside, whether that's, I talked to a company last week, brand new company. They just started in February, I think this year. They're already doing $5 million in sales. How are they doing $5 million in 9 months, 10 months of doing business? Because the guy that started the company for 22 years ran the canvassing department at a huge semi-national window company. The guy is great when it comes to canvassing. And so the conversation that I'm having with him is, okay, now you've got $5 million in canvassing. Can you grow that to 10? And he says, we could, but canvassing is really, really, really hard. And anybody that does canvassing knows that that's true. Okay, well, can you take some of the money that you're making from canvassing and now invest it into advertising? And that's the conversation that you need to be having. Not that you're doing canvassing, but whatever it is you're doing that's generating revenue for you. If your prices are high enough, you should have capital that you can put into this. And here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Immediately start spending 5 to 20% of your marketing budget on farming. Now, for some of you, that is an outrageous amount, 20%. Oh my gosh, we couldn't spend 20% of our marketing on farming. I'm telling you that over time, this is going to be critical to you growing your brand and to generating these kinds of leads that I'm talking about, where people who know your story call you and say, man, I want to do business with you. Then what I want you to do is steadily increase your farming budget over time until it's as much as 50%, or in some cases more. With Jericho, their farming budget is about 70% of all the dollars they spend on marketing and advertising is going right into TV and radio. I've got other clients where the ratio is more along the lines of a third to a half. But that's not where you start. Where do you start? 5 to 20%. And let me show you how this works. Where do you start? Determine how much each station is going to cost. Now, this could be radio or television. And what you want to do is evaluate the total cost of the station and the efficiency. Now, here's what that means. If you look at how much it's going to cost to go on a TV station or a radio station, you're going to look at how much it's going to cost to be on there with what I call a full buy. A full buy means that you're getting the amount of repetition and frequency that you need to make an impact on that station. Okay, so if you go put 2 ads a week on your local radio station, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to get heard enough to make any traction. So what you want to look at is not only how much does it cost to have this full buy, but how efficient is it? And by efficiency, here's what I mean. I'll be very, very specific. We measure everything in media on the basis of cost per thousand, CPM, thousand being M being, what is it? What do you call that? The Roman numeral for thousand, CPM, cost per thousand. So here's what we're trying to measure. How much bang for the buck? If we spend $1,000, excuse me, I said that backwards. If we spend money on a commercial, how much is it going to cost us to reach 1,000 people? If it costs us $6 to reach 1,000 people, that's better than costing $12 to reach 1,000 people. So you have to look at the overall number of dollars, but also the efficiency. And here's what you want to do. Buy as much as you possibly can with your 5 to 20%. Over time, you can dominate the entire farm. So here's what I'm going to show you. These numbers are going to be big and they're probably going to scare you because you might be in a smaller market, but this is what it looks like in San Diego. I have a client there that is spending what you're looking at on this graphic. And here's what I'm trying to show you, that in that market, NBC television, it's $710,000 to have a full buy. A full buy is we're on all of the news programs, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. To be on Cox Cable, it's $495,000. To be on Fox, it's $335,000. CBS and ABC, $319,000 and $324,000. And then they've got a small independent station there called KUSI. that is $160,000 a year. These are yearly amounts. Now, you might look at that and say, okay, I don't think I can afford that. Here's what I'm not telling you to do. I'm not telling you to write a check for $710,000 to NBC. Here's what I am telling you to do. How much budget do you have available that you can invest into farming? And then we look at the stations, how much they're going to cost, and then we look at how efficient they are, and we start with whatever makes sense. So if you only had, let's say, $12,000, $13,000 a month, well, we could start on KUSI. There's nothing wrong with that, because here's why. The people that watch that station consistently watch that station, so we can have an impact on those people. The audience is smaller, which is why the number of dollars required is smaller, but you can have a significant impact on that audience. Now, if you look at ABC, CBS, and Fox, here's what you're going to notice. The price to have a full buy on those three stations is almost identical, $319 to $335. So here's what we would do. We would look at those three stations and say, where can we get the best cost per thousand? Where is it going to be the cheapest on a CPM basis, on an efficiency basis, to reach the audience? So let's say that hypothetically, and this is hypothetical because I'm not looking at the actual numbers, let's say that hypothetically ABC is going to cost us $4 per thousand, CBS is going to cost us $6 per thousand, and Fox is going to cost us $8 per thousand. Well, here's what that tells us. It tells us that ABC, even though it's $324,000, it's actually half price compared to Fox, which means that we're going to get twice as much bang for the buck. These are really, really important things to know. And I want you to know that this is not the kind of thing that you should wander into yourself without the expertise. This is why agencies like my company, Level 10 Contractor, exists to help you navigate these waters. Now, this is San Diego. It's a pretty big market. If you were in a smaller market like Des Moines, Iowa, these numbers might be something like a quarter to a third of the numbers you see on your screen right here. If you're in a larger market like Los Angeles, I've got a client that spends $960,000 on ABC, one station in Los Angeles. It's the biggest station in that particular market. In Los Angeles, ABC is the biggest, but it's it's almost $1 million for one stinking station. But if you're in Sioux City, South Dakota, ABC might only cost $100,000. So these are just things that you have to look at and figure out and work through. And this is something that an agency can help you do. Now we can go through the exact same process for radio, okay? And we just look at the stations that are appropriate for your company on radio. So here's what you want to do. Determine the efficiency by cost per thousand. The goal is about $3 to $8 on adults 18 plus. On TV, what we do is we buy local news, one spot per newscast, Monday through Thursday. If we can't afford Monday through Thursday because the client's budget isn't enough, then we cut it back to Monday through Wednesday, and in some cases even to just Monday, Tuesday. On radio, we're looking for what they call a frequency of about 2.5. Okay, that means that the average person listening to that station hears the ads 2.5 times per week. That's what we're aiming for. Stations that reach older homeowners that are in your demographic, you have to know how to negotiate. You have to run ads that are mostly identity oriented, and here's what happens. Web traffic goes up, leads go up, calls go up, everything goes up. It does take time though. This is not a hunting activity. This is not something where we're going to place the ads and immediately you're going to get an immediately measurable ROI. That is not how it works. And if that's what you're expecting, then you need to pass and you need to not do this because it's not the right time or it's not the right situation for your company, okay? Now, the result of branding, people are going to call you even when your ads aren't running because they know that you're the person to call. The reward center in their brain is going to be activated. Remember back to CocaCola, the competition is going to shrink to just a few key players. Organic search rankings go up. Closing ratios go up, sales and profits go up, your company becomes more sellable, okay? Does brand matter? It absolutely, positively does matter. Okay, so I offered you earlier to do a website audit. This is kind of what it looks like. You can see here, the overall score for this website was 20 out of 100. We measure it on 3 different categories: getting on Google's radar, ranking, and conversion. And I won't show you the details of this. Suffice it to say, this is a valuable tool to help you understand where you're at. We're happy to do this for you and then go through it with you on a phone call, okay? So again, thank you for our sponsors, Destination Motivation, OneClick Contractor. If you'd like to get the free identity website audit, I am going to launch one more poll right now. This is a poll to see if you would have any interest in Level 10 Contractor. So here we go. let's see. All right, the poll is now open. If you'd like to learn more about Level 10 Contractor, if you'd like to get talk about media advertising like we talked about, if you'd like to get a website audit, go ahead and click that. If you'd like to do both, that's okay, fill it out. Also, you can hit the level10audit.com, the QR code on your screen, and you can request that website audit that way as well. So that's what I've got for you today. The topic again is branding. I want to thank you for participating. If you have any questions, you can email me at rich@level10contractor.com. We will be sending a copy of the video of this webinar to you. So you'll see that probably tomorrow, maybe later today. I'm not really sure how that works. Also, we'll be taking the audio from this webinar and we'll be putting it on the Level 10 Contractor Daily podcast. So go check that out as well. And if there's anything that we can help you with, we'd love to talk to you. Again, email me personally at rich@level10contractor.com, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much.